My name is Ben Savage. I'm the Senior Account Executive here with Mission Control. A little bit about me. I've been in the ecosystem for over 5 years, worked at another application and came aboard with Aprika and representing Mission Control about 3 years ago. I also am a certified Salesforce admin. So I really enjoy helping out people learn about Mission Control and Salesforce in general. Also, I'm based out of Knoxville, Tennessee, and work remote from the house. So today's agenda, what we're going to go ahead and do and talk through, and just a quick, we've done our introduction here, but we're going to go into a quick Mission Control overview. Then we'll jump into the actual demo of it. I'm going to show you through some key areas of the platform. Then we'll also jump into any questions from chat, and then finally address how to get started within Mission Control. So again, any questions as we go through, just put them in chat. I'll address them at the very end of the call, but certainly we welcome those. So this gets into a little high-level overview of Mission Control. So some of our key metrics, clients that use Mission Control, those clients are going to be located, we've got them in 25 countries, in over 25 countries, and then the different industries that we serve. And actually, I noticed that an error right here. This is not 10 users. It would be, we have over 10,000 users at this point. In here, as far as Mission Control, we are native on Salesforce. So what that's going to mean for you, the same way that you can customize Salesforce, you can also customize Mission Control. So you can add in custom fields, you can modify page layouts, you can also build out your own business logic. Additional benefits, any type of analysis that you might need to do on your project data, you can leverage standard Salesforce reporting and dashboard tools. You can also access all of your Mission Control data from the Salesforce One mobile app. No integrations required. And from a security perspective, all of your data is housed in your own instance of Salesforce. The install and setup just takes a couple of minutes directly from the App Exchange. It's a familiar interface since we're natively built. And then we fully support both Classic and the Lightning experience. So as far as access and licensing, in order to access Mission Control, you do need a Mission Control license and a Salesforce license. These are the different license types that are supported. In this next slide, I'm going to put everything up so you can see it. We call this our feature wall slide. And just as a note, think of this kind of like a menu. Everything's going to be included, but certainly you can scale up or scale down depending on the needs of your team. And there's a couple of ways that you're going to be able to do that. One, we've got some out-of-the-box permission sets that can be applied. The second way is going to be through when you set up roles. So either of those ways you can restrict or scale visibility as needed. So I'll just walk you through some of the key areas here. So within Mission Control, we can handle any type of resource management. So within individual resources, we can handle billing and cost rates. They can be a part of a single or multiple teams. You can also build out a detailed skill matrix for each resource. And then through the scheduler, that would be your resource capacity planning tool. You get a calendar view of all of your resources in one screen, and you can see from 1 day all the way up to 52 weeks, plus all the work that's been assigned to them. And most importantly, see if they're over allocated. If they are, you can move work directly around from there. Things we'll be touching on today, we'll be covering the resource assignment wizard, and that's going to allow you to pull in more than one resource to help deliver an action within the project. We'll also be touching on the reassignment wizard. So whether we're looking at the role level or we're looking at the actual project level, you can quickly and easily reassign work as needed. Role utilization report shows billable performance on a week-to-week or a monthly basis. And then we can also handle holiday management within the system. Other things we'll be covering today, we're going to be taking a look at generating a project from a closed-won opportunity. Also, just to mention, you can clone a project within the system and leverage our milestone loader, where you can reference a previous project or a template and quickly build out your existing project. For management-wise, just note we can handle both agile and waterfall methodology. Project overview would give you a 360 of one particular project, so it gives you all the key insights there. We also have a really nice whiteboard, Gantt chart, that would come complete with baseline tracking, dependencies, and critical path. Somebody said the signal keeps breaking up. Not sure if it's on your end, so sorry about that. All good here. All right. So Robert, it may be on your end. If you want to try relogging in, that may help. Thanks everybody for confirming there. I'll keep moving through here. Mention that within that Gantt chart, again, you've got baseline tracking, dependencies, as well as critical path. And we can also handle risk and issue management, both on the project level or through the progress pad. You could see all of your risks or all of your issues across your projects. PMO dashboard, that shows you your cost and schedule performance index. So just whether your project's on track, and that will be rolled up into reporting. And then finally down here, we've got something called project stakeholders. That's actually tied over here to the status report. Each project you can build out key stakeholders. You choose a day and the time that you want that to be sent out, and it'll automatically send. You can also manually create that at any point. Think of that as like a weekly update or a project health check that you're able to send out. Also, just as a call out for that, those stakeholders to receive that report do not have to be users of Mission Control or of Salesforce, so it could be potentially client or customer facing. We also have some other notifications that would serve that purpose as well. Time tracking, I will be showing that today. We'll get into some timesheets, but just note we can handle billable, non-billable. On the actual time, you have a start and stop tracker. Timesheets is where we'll go to. I'll demonstrate this, but you also have timesheet approvals within the system, and then calendar converter gives your users a more visual way in a calendar format to log time there. Financials wise, we'll be showing a little bit how to kick off an invoice, but on a very high level, note you can generate invoices within the system. You can record payment. You can also issue a credit. And then we can handle any type of multi-currency support. Coming over here, you have program management. We won't be touching on this today, but if you do have any interest, just let me know. I'll be glad to send more information over on it. But on a very high level, program management is going to be used in the development of software, specifically around the agile methodology. So in that, you can have your program planner where you build out detailed requirements, documenting your user stories, leveraging your storyboard. You would pull in through the project builder your requirements and actually slate that work when you want that to be delivered. So actually under the milestones within a project, or in that case releases. You've got some program analytics, and then access into the Gantt chart as well as the whiteboard. That leads us into our final column over here. Just note, throughout Mission Control, you'll have access to Chatter so you can communicate with team members. You also have access into Meeting Manager, where you can go in and handle ongoing meetings, as well as accounting for time directly against the project. You can also export those meeting notes as a PDF if you need to share it with team members. You can attach files into the project. I mentioned the status report. We also have something called a customer read-only page. So the idea is, instead of sending them something, you could simply share the read-only page link, and that's on the project level. You could share that to a client or a customer, or it could be somebody internally that might not have access into Mission Control. They can click through and get a read-only view of that project at any point in time. And then finally, underneath here, I think we've talked about everything with the exception of the action pad. I'll be demonstrating that today as well. That's going to be a space on the project level. Users can jump in and mark off their actions for that specific project. All right, so let's keep going. Actually, let's go ahead and we will jump in. I'll come back to this particular slide, but let's go ahead and jump into the demo time piece of it. So today, what we'll be covering underneath our project management is how we can auto-generate a project from an opportunity. Then we'll assign a resource. I'll show you a couple of ways to do that. We're going to have different ways to complete the action. We'll log some time, and then we'll touch on invoicing. I'm going to play the role as if I'm a project manager, how I might leverage the system throughout that. So just keep that in mind. And again, any questions that you might have, go ahead and sync those into chat for me, and we'll get to those at the end of the call. All right, so let's get going into Mission Control and take a look around. So just as a note, when you come in, this is going to be your Mission Control console. Note, I've got most of the features enabled, but you can restrict up here, for example, any of these tabs. So if somebody's not a manager, you could hide that. If they're not an admin, you could also hide that control pad. When you come into Salesforce itself, where you find Mission Control, it's going to be in the app launcher on the top left up here. So you would simply click through. You can find it right here, and then you click on, that's going to drop you to this console. I'll walk you through the console, then we'll go in as a project manager and create that project from a closed won opportunity. So Launchpad is going to be where I would jump in and launch anything new within the system that I might have. Progress pad, I'm going to log progress. Again, I mentioned that issue log or that risk log, how you could see all of your issues or risks. You can do the same thing with your action pad as well. So these are going to give you views across all of your projects. You also have your management pad. This is where you're going to access key reporting if you need to, for example, things like the PMO dashboard or your role utilization report, as well as some additional functionality. And then finally, your control pad. This is going to be a space for admins to come in, set up, any type of notification, as well as other key features within the system. Something also I'll point out down here, if you decide to jump in with a trial at the end of the webinar or in the next couple of weeks, once you install the product directly from the App Exchange, you're going to be able to come in through here and hit create sample data. That would create 2 projects for you instantly, so you can go off and just start working and then add your own data as needed. So like I said, I'm putting on my project manager hat now. We're going to go into opportunities and take a look around. So in here, you've got your different opportunities. I've come into this one. It's called Ohana Inc. and it's for 50K. This is the part of Mission Control. So this is our auto generation setting. And I've got some information already set up in here. And the idea is that when we win this opportunity, it's going to kick off a project on the top right for us. So let's walk through this just a little bit. So in here, when I'm setting this up, I would need to pull in a project template or an existing project, and you would just do that directly in here. The generation method, you've got a couple of choices. If I do it based on an opportunity, it's going to look back to a previous project or a template and clone the entire thing. If I base it on products, you would set it up to associate products to specific milestone, and it's going to custom create a project for you. So again, it gives you a little more flexibility through the products method. If you have a sales team that's selling specific products, it'll actually kick it off to your service or your project management team to deliver those specific products associated to milestones. These down here are just a variation of the products method. I've chosen the opportunity method. We're going to clone this Aprika website build master template. I've told it when we need to generate it and when the start date is. So now we'll come in here. I'm going to do it on a closed won opportunity. Before I do that, just as a note, if your team wants to realize the project in advance, you can tie it to any of these within here, and you can also add to this pick list. You would be able to basically show where you want it to land through the control pad. So here I'm changing that to closed won. We're going to go off and save that through. Now our project's generated directly on the right here. If just to give you an example what that might look like, I can come in and I'm able to see that my project's completely set up. I can click through and see some key details within the project. All right. Within here, let's go ahead and stay within this particular project. Let me walk you through the next piece of it if I'm a project manager and need to go through and actually assign some resources. And real brief, let me just explain what the overall architecture of the project is within Mission Control. Project's going to be your highest level. You have your milestone underneath. Think of the milestone as a container. It's carrying my actions. Underneath my actions, you also have nested checklist items. So, and within here, an action is the same thing as a task within Salesforce. That's where we're going to log time. Think of that as the heart of the project. It drives the milestone, in turn driving the overall project. I always say if the work has to be delivered, build it in as an action. Your checklist item, think of that more as like a to-do list or a punch list. So again, as a project manager, I may come in here and I might need to pull in an additional resource to help me design these wireframes. So in here, I can go through accessing that icon right there on the right, that's going to open up my resource assignment wizard. So in here, I can see exactly that I've got 4 hours of billable, 2 hours of non-billable work. If I know who I want to pull in as a contributor, I can simply do that through here. So I'm going to pull in Kim, and we'll say 2 hours there. And through here, I'm also able to go through and sort by teams. So I can pull in teams. I can also pull in skills, and I can apply multiple skills if needed. And then we can even apply skill proficiency, 1 being basic and 5 being granular. So when you think through this, you'll be setting up your own teams. You'll also be setting up your own pick list of skills. And then why we're filtering is we're going to go through and get a view of what everybody's working on. So this is across all of the projects. I can go through. Let's go ahead and take a look at Ember. I can see everything that she's working on. And if I want to assign Ember also, I would just move her over, and then we'll give, I'm going to say, an hour and a half off to Ember, although that seems like I don't have much work left for me. So we'll adjust those numbers slightly there and then go on. Here, I'm going to go off and save. You're going to notice an icon that's going to pop up. It'll show me exactly who's delivering what work on that particular action within there. So that's the first way. As a project manager, I would be able to assign some different work. If I needed to do this in mass or reassign quickly, we also have some other areas within mission control, and that's going to be underneath our reassignment. So that I would simply come in and be able to go through. This is going to open up the reassignment portion for the project level. And I'll mention on the project, it's just specific to the project. I'm going to take you into roles next, and I'll show you what that looks like on the role level. But here we're just reassigning work directly on here. So if I needed to reassign everything from Colin back to me, I simply come through, go off and save, and everything that was assigned to Colin is now assigned to me within that project level. So let's go ahead and take a look also on the role level and what that looks like. Within mission control, just as an explanation, you'll be setting up roles for anybody that's going to be in the system, whether they're a user or a contact. And contact would be somebody that doesn't need full access or a license into mission control or Salesforce, but you would want them as an action owner or contributor within the project. So you'll be setting up roles for anybody in the system. But in here, the functionality that I wanted to show you is going to be this reassignment. In this use case, what we're doing is we're reassigning all future project work. So maybe I've moved on from this team, and you need to reassign everything that I had in regards to my project work, or if I moved on for the organization. So again, this would be all future work. I would be able to go through and simply go through and reassign quickly and easily from here. So that's the way you could do it in either of those use cases to quickly reassign that work. So let's come back into our project, and we'll continue on within that idea of being a project manager and wanting to go through and actually work on this and complete some actions in here. So again, I can go through, I can see exactly what's going on, but if I wanted to complete actions, there's going to be a couple of spaces I can do that. One is going to be directly within this action pad. Up here, we've got some summary charts. I can see what's going on in the actual project, including how many hours are scheduled. And then down below here, I actually have a view into all of my different actions. In this case, I can see that this one's assigned to me. And the way that you use this is simply click onto that action, and then you have your key details, and then I can work on it over here. As far as completing it, it's going to be real easy to do. I just go through and actually check that off. And that's going to be the first way. If I've completed that, it's going to show up here that I've delivered that and how many hours are remaining on my overall project. And just to walk through, just to explain this a little bit more around this detail, you do have your key details working across. But on the right-hand side, you have access into that resource assignment wizard. I can also log time directly in here. If I needed to, I can create an issue and access checklist items as well. And then once I've clicked on, I can also open up my issue or my action detail, and I can go through and make any updates, as well as if I need to communicate with team member team members, I could just @mention them, and that's going to pull any of that chatter feed directly on that action record within here. Another way that I would be able to simply come through and start working these actions is going to be directly in the whiteboard. So the whiteboard, when it loads up, think of this as a whiteboard in your office. These actions are as if they were sticky notes. And so we're able to drag and drop and move that work around. Now, the first thing you may note, I don't have any more actions. I've worked my one action in here. If I needed to, as a project manager, go ahead and reassign that. I could simply open up this roles on the right and drag and drop, and that's going to reassign that work to me. So again, you would be able to reassign. If I need to start working this, I'm just going to simply drag and drop. That's going to be the next way that I've completed that action within the system. And again, just as a little bit of context as far as what you're looking at within this whiteboard, these are our action cards within here. And you've got PAN number, which is a randomly assigned action ID number. I have my action project. I can see how many hours are scheduled out, who's responsible for that action, and then access into some key details. So for example, I can access chatter feed if I need to communicate with those colleagues. I have my checklist item I can access. I can log an issue from here. I can also log time or track time. And then I have an action summary. From my perspective, this is going to be a single screen where you can do most of the activities within Mission Control. In this case, we're on the project level. Also, just as a call out, you do have a whiteboard tab up here that would pull in all your actions across all of your projects, and you have full filtering capabilities. So again, thinking through it, whiteboard's going to be a great space as a project manager to come in and simply work through ongoing projects. So again, you can set up your own preset filters, apply multiple filters to get the view that you'd like. I'll also mention that we have something called persistent settings on our whiteboards. So when you think about it, if however you set it up, if you go away and come back to it, it's going to remember how you last left it. So, all right, so I've gone through, I've moved through the different actions as far as completing those. Now I'm going to want to go ahead and log time within the system against some of those actions. So in here, let's go ahead and just do that directly in here. I'm going to show you, and then we'll go into the timesheet itself. But in here, I can go through and I can say, all right, in this case, and let's actually go through and see. So we've got 7 hours against this. I'm going to go ahead and say that we've worked our 7. And I'm just going to come down here and go ahead and say that we've got 7 hours completed. So note, I can use time tracking, but in this case, we just want to go off and log that 7 hours directly against that particular action in here. So now we've done that. The next way that we're going to be able to go through and actually log time is going to be, as a user, I would go into my timesheet. So this is loading up. It's showing everything that's been assigned to me, whether I'm an action owner or contributor within that project. And I'm going to log time directly again on that specific action or task within the timesheet. So here I can see I've got Brookvale Living as my project. Solution architecture is going to be the milestone, and future state architecture is the actual deliverable or the action that I'm working on. We're going to go ahead and say that I've worked 2.5 hours here, and I'm going to double click in. Here, I can make any type of notes that I might need to go off and indicate on that particular time log. I also can go through and select a time log type. So within Mission Control, just as a side note, you can set up categories, subcategories. You can also do action types, milestone types, and time log types. You would build out your own pick list, and in any of those cases, you would use that for data clarity and reporting. So you can actually get fairly specific on what you're doing within the system. So here I'm going to select project hours, go through. You can also log any type of non-billable as well. And then through here, it's automatically calculating everything at the bottom. I can save this on a daily basis. At the end of the week, I'd simply save and submit that timesheet. Also, as a user, I may want to leverage this utility bar at the bottom. It will do most common functions. I could come through and I can log time directly in here as well. And then also, just as a note, I would be able to log time within the calendar converter. So this is going to give me a more visual way when I come into it to log time. There's three ways. One, it's going to pull through any actions from my project work. I can simply go in and log time there. The second way is going to be any type of Salesforce events from your Salesforce calendar. I'm going to be able to see those in here. I can associate that to a project and log time that way. And then the third way is simply we're going to drag and drop, and that's going to go through, and I would simply say, what project am I working on? What's my milestone? And then what's my action? Hit log time, and that's going to go off and log the time as well. So those would be all the functionality as a user that I might use to log the time. And then the other thing is I would be able to also log it on the go if I need to, and that would be through the Salesforce One mobile app. So this is simply a screenshot of an iPhone. I've got three screenshots in here, but what it might look like as a user to come in and actually log that time. Also note, I can upload a photo if I need to, I can make any notes, and then this is what the actual time log would look like. So again, because we're natively built, you just would log in through the Salesforce One mobile app. You would be able to see the key objects from Mission Control directly in there, and then go off and log time if I was a user. Just as a side note, you do also have the ability for any type of approvals within the system for time logs. So in here, I'm responsible for Kim. I can go through and in one click approve everything. If I need to send something back, I can do that. I can also clarify through Chatter. And we've got two levels of approvals. One is going to be on the project level. The other would be the role manager. So you can use either or none, your choice, or you can use both. From here, other areas that you might be able to think through as far as logging time, I'm trying to think through if there's any other key areas. I think that's going to cover it. So really, as a user, again, whiteboard, timesheets, or the action pad, I can log time directly from in any of those key areas. So that kind of winds us to generating the invoice. For that particular piece of it, I'm actually going to jump back into our projects list view right here and go off and find another project that I've got a little bit more data around. So in here, I'm coming in, I can see my information, and before we actually get into the billing and what the invoicing looks like, I want to walk you through the project setup so you get an understanding of how that's generated. So in here, when we come into it, you have your project name. I've got my project owner, the account, the contact, and the opportunity. I can also, just as a note, all of this rolls up for you in Salesforce. You can have multiple projects underneath the same account. Here we've got a project reference number, and I was mentioning those categories and subcategories. Again, you can set up your own pick list through here, but this gets us into the different billing types we have within the system. So your options are fixed price. You also have fixed price plus expenses. You've got time and materials, and then you also have controlled by milestones. So you can set up any of those. I put in my project budget, my hours per day, and then for your billing rate, what you charge out to the customer, and your cost rate, what we charge internally to do the work, we've got the same three options. Standard is going to be just like a flat fee. Role-based is based on the individual role rate that you've set up within the system. And then skill-based is based on the individual skill associated with that role assigned to the action within the project. So in my mind, this is going to be the most granular option. We're going to stay with standard. In this example, we've put in our day and our billable day rate, as well as our cost day rate within the system. You can handle any type of overtime. If it was an internal project, you can mark that up as non-billable. Here, I can change the color of the project on the whiteboard or the scheduler. Moving down, you've got your timesheet approvals, some additional functionality, and then this really gets into the billing information and that setup there. So you can handle purchase orders. You can apply a tax rate within here, and then you've got your different billing cycles. So you can do it where you manually raise an invoice. I can do it on the completion of a milestone where it will automatically send out an invoice. We also have some periodic timeframes within the system where it'll automatically send out an invoice and then you have retainer based. So any of those are options. Here, we're going to leave that on milestone. All of these key details fill in as your project's getting worked. I can also leverage anticipated expenses, put those in, and then log those expenses as I go through the system. So once we've got that, in this case, I've already generated a project from a milestone, or excuse me, I've already generated a invoice from a milestone. So I would simply come into my billing tab, and then I'm going to go in and I'll show you the invoice in just a second. Here, as a project manager, I'd be able to see, do we have an invoice, any type of credits? I've got all my key metrics around that billing. So what the project is, what's invoiced, what might be remaining, and then anything outstanding. For each of these, within here, you can create billing events, and then underneath you would have billing event items. So that's the actual work that's being delivered. And to access the actual invoice, I would just simply go into the actual billing event. Here I have access into that PDF format. Now I can simply click through, and this is going to pull through and open up the PDF of what the invoice might look like. So in here, note, you'd be able to put in your own logo, your own key information. And here it's some work that's been delivered, and finally your balance due in here. So that's how you would handle invoicing within the system. All right, that's going to conclude the demo portion of it. If anybody's got any questions, go ahead and put those in chat. Next, I'm going to go back into our deck real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and show you how to get started with Mission Control if you like what you've seen. So again, it's going to be super easy to get started. Simply go to the App Exchange, you click Get It Now. The install takes about 2 minutes. You'll also be sent over a quick start guide. If I can make one recommendation, it would be to follow that quick start guide end to end. That by far is the easiest and the fastest way to get set up with Mission Control. Also, you can anticipate a 14-day free trial. You can put that into production or a sandbox. And then halfway through your trial, if you do decide to jump in, I would love to set up a sample project call with you. Purpose of the call, we simply build out a sample project based on your requirements and then answer off any questions that you might have. Also note, if you want some more information or would like a further live demonstration based on your specifics around your requirements for your organization, certainly we can set up a demo. If you do happen to be in the West Coast or the APAC region, then it would go to a colleague of mine. His name's Trevor, but we'd be happy to get you set up either way. And then just to kind of mention our support and resources. So we have really awesome resources online and full resources at that. Those are going to be things like Learn Mission Control, which is an online learning portal. If you're familiar with Trailhead, it's actually modeled after Trailhead. We also have a complete knowledge base, user guide, and videos. If you do need any additional support, you can reach us at that email address. We'll get back to you within 1 business day. And in most cases, that's going to be complete with the resolution. All right, so let's go ahead and let me take a look real quick down here at chat. All right, so the first question is going to be, is there a way to show dependencies? The answer is going to be yes, certainly you can within the system. Let me actually just go back in and I'll demonstrate that real quick for you. Give me 1 second here. Let's see. All right, so in here, as far as dependencies, let's jump back in and we'll take a quick look. We'll jump back in this one, and that's going to be found within the Gantt chart. I will mention the Gantt chart's automatically going to be created for you, so you don't have to manually set this up. And that includes once your dependencies are created within the system, they'll also clone through. So that's what we've done in this case. But just note, I'm going to go ahead and remove that dependencies. Just note, it's super easy to add that. Simply go from one end to the other. In this case, we're making that dependency between the actions. So you've got that, as well as in this case, we've identified critical path, but this is fully interactive. So I can drag and drop if I need to reschedule anything. You can also take a look and turn on and off your baseline dates throughout here. A couple of other quick call outs while we're in here. Just to note, this is fully interactive. So if I need to make any changes, I simply click in. You also have inline editing. where I'm able to edit anything over here, as well as if I need to add an action, I can do that directly in here as well. So we're just going to do new action test, make that real easy. We would go off and assign that to whoever we want within the system, hit confirm. That's going to add that individual in here. Also, just as a note, you have some export functionality. And then if I need to, I would go off and make sure that I want to save that. If you see that orange triangle, that just means you have it saved within the system. This is for a single project. Again, if you go through this tab up here, that would show you multiple projects as well. And you can have dependencies in those as well. All right, let's jump back in. So dependencies between your stories. If you have within your stories, if you're going to create actions, you would be able to connect that information in there. All right. Other common questions get sometimes within mission control. One would be in regards to like timesheets, and can you log time on somebody else's behalf? Like, let's say that you have an external contractor that you need to account for their time within that project. The answer is going to be yes. You would just simply set them up as a contact within the system, and then you would be able to log time on their behalf. Other common questions I think through would have to do with like licensing. Again, sometimes we'll have it where do all users who are licensed within an organization to Salesforce need to have a mission control license? My answer is going to be no. Only those who need access into the system need a license of mission control and of Salesforce. And then also thinking through, again, like if you were to have multiple projects, what's the best way to keep track of those? I would say the two best ways in my mind are going to be through this Gantt chart, which is the Gantt chart tab. We call that the standalone Gantt chart up here. And then the scheduler would give you the view into those multiple projects. All right, let's, does anybody else have any other questions that they can think of? Anything else that I can help with today? If you do, just type those into chat. We'll go ahead and just give it about 20 or 30 more seconds. But again, any type of use case, anything else that you're looking to solve for that I might be able to help on today's webinar. Yeah. All right. Then my very last slide in here is just simply a profound thank you. I simply wanted to say thanks. Let's go ahead and try this one. That slide isn't coming up too well. So we're just going to come back in here. All right, well, then I'm going to go ahead and say thank you very much and go ahead and call it. Let's see, was there any other questions? So it's in the chat. Let's see. Okay, no worries. Let's jump in here. All right, so it looks like we've got a few more questions. All right, so Jen is asking, can we look more closely at how projects can relate to other objects, and can you talk more about the automation capabilities? So again, I guess the best way to address that in my mind, if I'm looking at it as far as if we're talking about other objects within mission control, or if you're talking within Salesforce as a whole, again, the same way that you can configure Salesforce, you can configure mission control. So you should be able to relate that information as far as connecting those objects to each other. And then for automation wise, again, it's going to be that same answer there. As far as if you're wanting to set up automation in Salesforce, you would be able to set up that and have that connected over into mission control. Let's go ahead. Let's see other ones. Can you show how you might automate the invoice? Again, that's going to be the different ways that you can do that are going to be through whether it's on the milestone level. Also, you would have the automation through if you choose the specific timeframes. So we have those periodic timeframes, and let me go ahead and show that to you again. And that's going to be through here. If I were to come in, let's discard. On the project level, here's where you would set that up. type of information. So if let's say in this case, I wanted to do a periodic, then we're going to go through and we're going to we'll say monthly, and that way it's going to go ahead and kick off that invoice. So it would be on a periodic monthly basis where it would automatically generate the invoice. And then you would find that invoice underneath the billing tab. All right, looks like we're right about time. Again, we'll send this information over to you within the next couple of days. It'll come out of our marketing department. You should do that. But again, my sincere thanks for everybody joining. If you have any questions or anything else that you would like to, feel free to reach out to me. Give me 1 second and I'm going to put up my contact info and then we'll go on from there. Let's do this. Give me 1 second here. Yeah, actually, let me just call it out. I'll put it into chat. Go ahead and feel free to send me an email if you want any type of follow-up information, or if you'd like to schedule a demo with myself or Trevor, or just have any other questions at all. But again, my sincere thanks for everybody attending today's webinar. I hope you have an awesome day, and I will catch up, or we will be in contact later. Thank you so much. Cheers. Bye.